The desert world of Thalon 6 was silent. No wind, no sound. Only red dust covering the broken remains of what once was a village. A small human ship broke through the yellow clouds and landed near the ruins. Its engines shaking the ground, Captain Reed stepped out. His boots sinking slightly into the soft sand, his visor scanned for life. But all he saw was empty homes made of stone and bones. Radiation level low, life signs minimal, the ship's AI whispered through his headset. Reed sighed. He had heard those words too many times during this war. Another forgotten world, another tragedy left behind. As he moved closer to a collapsed dome, he heard a faint sound. It was not the wind. It was crying, weak and broken. He raised his rifle and followed the noise carefully. His team spreading out behind him. Captain. Right side? Sergeant Luna said softly. Pointing toward a small crater near the burned pod, Reed stepped closer and saw a boy. Small, pale, with blue skin covered in ash. The boy was holding something in his arms, whispering the same words again and again. Reed knelt down slowly. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe now," he said. The boy looked up, his eyes glowing faintly under the twin suns. "Sir?" "My sister is gone," he whispered, voice trembling like dry leaves. For a moment, Reed forgot the war, the orders, the mission. He only saw a child who had lost everything. He looked at the figure the boy was holding. A young girl, maybe 12, her skin cold and her lips still. "Medical drone." Reed shouted, and a small sphere floated down from the ship, scanning her body. "Life signs?" "0, it said. Reed exhaled slowly, placing his hand on the boy's shoulder. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "We'll take care of her." But the boy shook his head violently. No humans must not touch her body," he cried. "She must rest under her own moon." Reed frowned. "Her own moon?" he asked. The boy pointed to the horizon, where a cracked silver moon hung low in the sky. "It is where souls go. The light will guide her," he said. Luna whispered to Reed, "Captain, this planet's people believe their spirits live inside the moonlight." Reed nodded. "Then we'll do it right." He stood up. Calling his team to help, they began clearing the sand, making a small space where the boy wanted the grave. Every movement was slow and careful. The humans worked silently as the boy watched. His tiny hands trembled, but his eyes followed every motion. When the grave was ready, the boy knelt and placed his sister inside gently. He whispered words in his language, soft, melodic, filled with sorrow. The translation AI couldn't understand the full meaning, only parts of it. "Sleep, my moon sister. The sky is waiting." Reed and his crew stood back, watching the ritual, even in the middle of war. This quiet moment felt sacred. The boy took a handful of dust and poured it over her chest. The dust shimmered faintly, glowing blue for a second before fading. Luna looked at Reed. "That's not normal dust." "Captain," she said. Reed crouched down, touching the sand with his glove. The scanner beeped. "Unknown energy particles detected," it said. But Reed ignored it. "Let him finish," he whispered. When the boy finally stood up, he turned to Reed. "She is home now," he said quietly. Reed nodded and offered him water. The boy drank slowly, his eyes never leaving the glowing grave. "What's your name, son?" Reed asked. The boy hesitated. "Tareen," he said. "And my sister's name was Lyra." Reed smiled gently. "Lyra is safe now, Tareen?" he said. But the boy looked at him sharply. "No." "She will wake soon," he whispered. Reed froze. "Wake?" he asked. The boy nodded. "When the moon's second light touches her, she will return. Just like the old stories." The human team exchanged worried looks. Luna whispered, "Captain." "There's no pulse, no chance." Reed sighed. He's just trying to hope, he said, but deep inside, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. The wind started to rise, swirling around the grave. The dust shimmered again. Faint blue sparks dancing in the air, Tareen fell to his knees, whispering faster now, as if praying. "Please, Moonlight, guide her," he said. Tears rolling down his cheeks, the scanner suddenly beeped again, detecting a weak pulse. Faint, but real. Reed's eyes widened. "That's impossible," he said. The drone repeated. Life signs detected minimal. Everyone stared at the grave as the dust began to move. Tareen screamed. "She's coming back." Reed grabbed him. "Stay back," he ordered, but the boy struggled. "No. She will be afraid." The grave cracked. The dust scattered like smoke. A faint glow came from beneath, then slowly. A hand rose, small, trembling, covered in glowing sand. Reed stepped back, heart pounding. Luna gasped. "Captain?" "She's alive." The boy broke free and ran to her. Holding her hand and crying, Lyra opened her eyes weakly. Whispering her brother's name, Reed stared. Unable to believe what he was seeing, he turned toward the grave, watching the blue dust fade into the air like light. No human technology could explain this, and deep in his chest, Captain Reed knew this was only the beginning. The night over Thalon 6 was quiet. The sky glowed softly with the cracked silver moon that the alien boy had spoken about. Captain Reed stood near the small grave. His visor light dimmed so the child could rest beside his sister. He could not stop thinking about what had just happened. A girl brought back from death, a boy whispering to the moon, and sand that glowed like stars. He had seen war. He had seen machines turn planets into dust. But he had never seen something like this. Luna came closer, holding a tablet in her hands. "Captain, I checked the readings again," she said, her voice low. "The energy in that sand is not from any element we know." Reed nodded slowly, staring at the grave that now looked calm again. "Maybe it's something spiritual," he murmured. Luna shook her head. "Spiritual energy doesn't trigger scanners." "Sir," Reed smiled faintly, "maybe that's our mistake. We think everything needs to be measured." The boy. Tareen sat quietly beside the grave. His small hands were covered in dust. His eyes tired but full of faith. He looked up at the humans. "You must go before the light returns," he said softly. Reed crouched next to him. "Why?" Tareen's voice trembled. "Because when the moon changes, the Watchers will come." "Who are the Watchers?" Luna asked. "The Keepers of Sleep," the boy said. "They will be angry that you touched her." Reed looked at his team. "We didn't mean harm," he said, but Tareen shook his head again. "They do not understand meaning, only laws." Reed stood and looked around. The air was still. In the distance, small lights flickered, maybe fires, maybe something else. He ordered his crew to scan the area. Moments later, the AI spoke through the com. Multiple faint signals detected. "Approaching." Luna's eyes widened. "Captain, that's them," she whispered. Reed turned back to the boy. "How long do we have?" Tareen pointed to the sky. "Until the second light of the moon touches the grave." The humans began packing their gear. But Reed stopped, staring again at the small mound of glowing dust. The girl, Lyra, lay still beneath it. He could not leave her like this, not when she might still be alive. He looked at Tareen. "If they come, what will they do?" "They will take her and me," Tareen whispered. "They will erase what you did." Reed clenched his jaw. "We can't let that happen," Luna sighed. "Sir, this is not our fight." Reed looked at her. "It became ours the moment we touched that grave." He knelt beside Tareen. "Listen to me, kid. We'll protect you." Tareen shook his head slowly. "No one can protect against the moon's law." But before Reed could answer, The scanners beeped again. "Captain, new readings. Strong life signals from below." Reed turned toward the grave, his heart racing. The sand began to move, small waves rising as if the ground was breathing. The blue glow returned, brighter this time. Taurine gasped. "She's waking again." The grave cracked open. Dust flying into the air, Lyra's hand appeared once more. But this time her eyes opened wide. They were glowing, pure silver like the moon above. She sat up slowly, breathing heavily. Reed stepped forward. "Lyra, can you hear me?" But she looked past him, straight at the sky. "The Watchers are coming," she whispered, her voice echoing strangely. Her body shook, energy pulsing through her veins like lightning. The scanners screamed with overload warnings. "Captain, her body's energy output is off the charts," Luna shouted. Lyra turned to her brother. "You should not have called the humans," she said weakly. Taurine cried. "I just wanted you to wake." Her hand touched his cheek. "You broke the circle," she said. Reed stepped forward. "It doesn't matter now. You're alive." But Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "No, you don't understand when one wakes. Another must sleep." Before anyone could ask what she meant, a shadow fell across the grave. The air turned cold. The moonlight dimmed. Shapes appeared on the horizon, tall and cloaked in silver light. Taurine screamed. "The Watchers!" Reed raised his rifle. "Everyone, defensive line." The shapes moved closer, silent and graceful, their eyes glowing white. They stopped a few meters away, forming a circle around the grave. One of them spoke in a deep, echoing tone. "Who disturbed the sleep of the moon's children?" Reed stepped forward. "We meant no harm. We saved her life." The figure turned its gaze on him. "You broke balance, human." Lyra stood, weak but defiant. "No, I broke it, not him." The leader's hand rose, a beam of light flashing toward her. Reed jumped in front, his armor taking the hit, sparks flying. Luna screamed. "Captain!" He fell to one knee but held his ground. "You want balance?" He growled. "Then take me instead." The Watchers hesitated, whispering among themselves in a language no one could understand. Finally, the leader lowered its hand. "The debt is recorded," it said. Then, without warning, they vanished into the air, leaving only dust swirling where they had stood. Lyra fell to her knees, trembling. Taurine held her tight. Crying into her shoulder, Reed looked at them, still breathing heavily. "What happened?" Luna asked. Lyra whispered. "They spared you for now." Reed stared at her. "For now?" She looked up at the moon, which was turning darker by the second. "When the next light comes, the moon will decide if your kindness was truth or theft." Her voice faded, and she collapsed into her brother's arms. The grave glowed again, calm and blue, as if nothing had happened. Reed stood silently, watching the light fade. He didn't know it yet, but this night would change the fate of both their worlds forever. Morning came to Thalon 6 under a pale silver light. The human camp was quiet. Only the low hum of generators and the whisper of wind across the dunes. Captain Reed stood outside his tent, eyes fixed on the horizon where the moon still hung low. He had not slept, his mind filled with the image of the glowing girl and the silent Watchers. He could still feel the heat of that beam that had struck his armor. It left no wound, but burned like a warning inside his chest. Luna approached, carrying a datapad. "Captain." "She's stable for now," she said. "But her readings keep changing." Reed frowned. "Changing how?" "She's not human, but her body shows human patterns now. Heartbeat, oxygen levels, even brain activity." Reed looked toward the medical tent where Lyra rested. "Maybe she adapted to survive," he said softly. Luna nodded, unsure what to think. Inside the tent, the air smelled faintly of metal and herbs. Lyra lay on a small cot, her skin glowing softly under the medical light. Tareen sat beside her, his small hand wrapped around hers. When Reed entered, the boy looked up, his eyes full of trust and fear. "She keeps whispering your name," Tareen said. Reed knelt beside the cot. "Why?" "She said you touched the light and didn't break," Tareen answered. Lyra stirred, her eyelids fluttering open. For a moment, her silver eyes met Reed's. Calm and strange. "Human," she whispered. "You defied the moon." Reed shook his head. "We only wanted to help." She smiled weakly. "Help has a cost here." Luna stepped closer. "What cost?" Lyra looked away. Balance was broken, so something must be taken. Reed frowned. "Taken by who?" "The Watchers?" Lyra nodded. "They are not gods, but they keep the old rule, one life for another." Silence filled the tent. Tareen gripped his sister's hand tighter. "Then take me," he cried. Lyra shook her head. "No, little star, your promise was love, not death." Her voice was soft, but carried power. Reed could feel the air vibrate slightly, as if her words were shaping it. "Lyra," he said, "can we stop them? Can we make peace?" She closed her eyes. Peace comes only when one side listens. Suddenly the ground trembled. The lights flickered. The radio hissed with static. Luna grabbed her headset. "Incoming transmission. Unknown signal." Reed activated the comms. A cold voice filled the tent. "Human ship Artemis. You have broken the Concord rule." Reed recognized the accent. Alien. Official, full of command. "This is Captain Reed of the Artemis," he said. "We are assisting survivors, not breaking laws," the voice replied. "Return the moon's children or face judgment." Then the signal cut off. Leaving only silence and the hum of machines, Reed turned to Luna. "How far are they?" "Less than an hour, sir. 3 ships approaching fast." Tareen clung to his sister, panic rising in his small voice. "They'll take her again." Lyra sat up slowly, pain flashing across her face. Her skin shimmered, energy flowing like light under her veins. Reed could see symbols forming on her arms, glowing marks shaped like moons. "What's happening to her?" Luna shouted. Lyra gasped. "They're calling me back." Reed grabbed her shoulders gently. "Fight it. You're stronger than them." She smiled faintly. "No one is stronger than memory." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, though there were no clouds. The ground split slightly, glowing cracks forming in the sand. From the cracks rose strange orbs of light, spinning slowly. Tareen cried out. "They're here," Reed ordered. "Team A to defense line." Shields up, but the lights did not attack. They floated toward Lyra's tent. As they entered, the air grew heavy, and every metal object vibrated. Lyra reached out her hand. "They want to see what I became," she whispered. The orbs surrounded her, pulsing like heartbeats. In their glow, Reed saw images. A moonlit temple, countless children sleeping, a war long forgotten. He felt their sadness, their fear, and their endless duty to keep life balanced. Then Lyra spoke, her voice clear and strong. "I am both moon and flesh now. I will speak for them." The orbs slowed, their light dimming slightly. Reed stepped closer. "What does that mean?" Lyra turned to him, her eyes bright. "You gave life where there was none. So the universe demands purpose." She touched his chest, and he felt warmth spread through his armor. "You are now bound to the light." "Captain Reed," she said softly. "Bound?" He asked. "You carry the memory seed of my kind. The Watchers will feel it." Luna gasped. "Sir, your readings just spiked. Your bioenergy is changing." Reed winced, feeling a pulse inside his chest like a second heartbeat. Lyra looked at her brother. "Tareen, remember this. The humans are not our curse." Then her glow faded. Her body trembling, Reed caught her before she fell. The orbs vanished one by one, leaving silence behind. Luna whispered, "Is she?" Reed checked. "Alive, but weak," Taran cried quietly. Holding her hand, outside, the sky darkened again. The 3 alien ships descending through the clouds. Their lights painted the dunes in silver and red. Reed stood, his armor still warm from Lyra's touch. "Prepare for contact," he ordered. Luna looked at him. "What if they don't want to talk?" Reed's eyes hardened. "Then humanity will show its heart again, even if it breaks." The wind howled through the ruins, carrying the echoes of the moon's children. And as the alien ships landed in a swirl of dust, Captain Reed realized that this was not a rescue mission anymore. It was the beginning of something far greater, the test of what it truly meant to be human. The air above Fallon 6 was filled with the sound of engines and thunder. 3 alien ships descended through the silver clouds, their shadows spreading across the dunes like wings. Captain Reed stood in front of the camp, his armor scratched and glowing faintly from Lyra's touch. Behind him, Luna and the rest of the crew formed a tight circle around the 2 alien children. Dust swirled, tents shook, and every sensor screamed warnings. Reed's radio crackled. "They're locking on targets," Luna shouted. Reed raised his hand. "Hold fire," he said, his voice calm, though his heart pounded. From the lead ship, a column of light beamed down, forming a shimmering doorway. Out of it stepped tall figures in silver armor, their faces hidden behind glass masks reflecting the moonlight. Their leader spoke first, voice echoing like metal. "Humans of Earth, you broke the Concord rule." Reed stepped forward. "We found survivors' children, and we saved them." The alien raised a staff glowing blue. "You disturbed sacred balance. You must surrender the Moonborn." Lyra stood weakly behind Reed, her silver eyes bright. "I am awake by my own will," she said. "Not by theirs." The alien leader turned. "You speak lies." "Moonburn never returned by choice," Luna whispered to Reed. "Sir, they're not listening." Reed clenched his fists. "Then we'll make them listen." He took a slow step toward the alien, lowering his weapon. "You see a crime," he said, "but what we did was mercy." The alien's visor reflected his face, scarred and human. "Mercy is not yours to give," the alien replied coldly. Reed shook his head. "Maybe not, but it's ours to live by." He pointed at the children. "They're not your property, they're life." For a brief second, the alien hesitated, the glow of his staff dimming. Behind Reed, the ground trembled again. The grave site where Lyra had been buried pulsed with light. Energy waves rippled outward. Shaking the air, Luna gasped, "Captain!" Readings spiking, same energy as Lyra. The alien soldiers raised their weapons. "Contain it," their leader ordered, but the light exploded upward like a fountain of stars. It wrapped around Reed and the children, shielding them in a silver-blue field. Lyra's voice echoed inside the light. "The moon chooses who it trusts." Reed felt warmth flow through his chest again. The marks Lyra had placed on him glowed brighter. He looked at his hands. Small silver sparks danced between his fingers. Luna stared in disbelief. "Sir, your body is syncing with the energy." Reed smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's trying to speak through me." He turned toward the alien leader. "If the moon wants balance, maybe it wants both of us to understand." He stepped closer, the light following him like a living aura. The alien aimed his staff. "Stay back." But Reed didn't stop. "You can kill me if you want, but that won't bring back balance." He pointed toward Lyra and Taran. "They don't need punishment, they need peace." The alien's hand trembled. "Peace was lost long ago." Reed's voice grew stronger. "Then humanity will help you find it again." The air shimmered as the alien lowered his staff slightly. The soldiers looked at each other, uncertain. Lyra stood taller, her strength returning as the moonlight touched her skin. She raised her hand, and a sphere of light formed between her palms. "This is what your ancestors feared," she said softly. "But it is not death, it is memory." The sphere expanded, showing visions in the air, the first war between humans and the Moonborn. Cities burning, children crying. Leaders blinded by pride, Reed watched the images. Feeling pain that was not his own, Lyra whispered. Both sides forgot the truth. Mercy was never weakness. The alien leader looked shaken, his mask flickering as the light reflected in his eyes. He lowered his weapon completely. "If what you show is real," he said, "then perhaps the old laws must end." Reed stepped closer. "Then end them with us." Silence fell. Only the hum of the ships above filled the air. Finally, the alien pressed his hand against his chest. "You have one chance. Human, show the heart you speak of." Reed nodded. "We already have." Suddenly, an explosion erupted behind the alien ships. A fourth vessel appeared from the clouds, darker, larger, not part of the Concord fleet, Luna shouted. Unknown contact, attacking both sides. Energy blasts tore through the sand, sending shockwaves across the valley. The Concord soldiers turned to defend, but it was chaos. Reed grabbed Taren and Lyra, pulling them toward cover. "Who are they?" Luna yelled. Lyra's eyes widened. "The collectors. They feed on imbalance." The new ship opened fire again. Striking near the grave, the glowing sand scattered into the air. Rising like a storm, Reed looked at the alien leader. "If we don't fight together, we all die." The alien nodded once. "Then fight beside me, human." For the first time, the two sides stood shoulder to shoulder, humans and moonborn defenders, firing at the same enemy. Blasts of light and plasma crossed the sky. Turning night into burning day, Reed's voice echoed through the calm. "Hold the line. Protect the children." Lyra stood behind them, her energy growing stronger with every pulse. She raised both hands, summoning a wave of light that struck the collector ship. The blast tore across its hull, sending it spiraling into the desert. When it fell, the ground shook for miles. Dust rose, and silence returned. Reed fell to his knees, exhausted. Luna helped him stand. "It's over," she said. But Lyra shook her head. "Not yet. They will come again." The alien leader turned toward Reed. "You fought for those not of your kind." Reed smiled weakly. "That's what humanity does." The alien looked at the children, then back at Reed. "Perhaps the heart of man is not as fragile as we believed." The moonlight shone brighter now, clean and calm, for the first time since the war began. Dallin 6 felt alive again. Reed looked up at the stars, knowing the next battle would not be for survival. It would be for understanding, and though he didn't know what the future held, he was ready to face it, as a human. And as the keeper of the moon's light, the battlefield was silent. Smoke drifted across the red dunes of Fallon 6, glowing faintly under the silver moon. Captain Reed stood among the ruins, his armor cracked, his breath heavy but steady. Around him, the survivors, human and alien alike, began to rise from the dust. For the first time, they stood not as enemies, but as survivors of the same fight. Luna walked toward him, her helmet under her arm, her face streaked with dirt and light. "It's over." "Captain," she said softly. Reed nodded, his eyes scanning the sky where the collector ship had fallen. The wreck burned faintly in the distance like a dying star. Lyra stood beside her brother, her silver eyes calm, her body glowing softly as if holding the last light of the battle. The alien leader approached, his silver armor scorched and broken. He bowed slightly to Reed. "The moon has judged," he said, "and found your heart worthy." Reed blinked. "Judged? How?" Lyra stepped forward. "The Watchers saw what you did, mercy without reason, courage without order. She smiled faintly. You changed the balance without destroying it. The alien leader raised his hand to the stars. The Concord will hear of this, he said. But not as war, as truth. Luna looked at Reed. Did we just make peace? Reed exhaled slowly. Maybe we just reminded them what it looks like. Taurine tugged at Reed's hand. Sir, he said shyly, will you stay with us? Reed knelt to meet his eyes. We can't stay, little one, but we'll always watch the stars for you. Lyra smiled gently. You already do. Her voice echoed with soft harmony, like the sound of wind through glass. Reed realized she was no longer bound by the laws of her people. She was something new. Something between both worlds. The ground beneath them shimmered, glowing lines spreading outward like veins of light. Lyra looked down, her face calm. The moon is calling again, she whispered. Taurine gripped her hand tightly. Don't go, he cried. Lyra knelt beside him, her touch tender. I am not leaving. Little star, I am becoming. Reed stepped closer. Becoming what? She smiled. A bridge, the air filled with silver dust rising around her like thousands of tiny stars. The light wrapped around her body, gentle and warm. Taring tried to hold on, but the light lifted his sister slowly into the air. Do not cry, she said, her voice now echoing through every radio and every mind. I will be in every moon that watches over you. The glow burst outward, a silent wave that rolled across the desert and vanished into the sky. When it was over, only the silver dust remained. Taring fell to his knees, silent tears running down his face. Reed placed a hand on his shoulder. She's still here, he said. Taring looked up. How do you know? Reed pointed to the moon above, where a new ring of light shimmered gently around it. That's her, he said. Watching over us all. The alien leader looked at Reed. The balance stands renewed, he said. The debt between us is gone. Reed nodded. No debt, only understanding. The leader touched his chest in salute. Then humanity has earned its place among the stars. With that, he and his soldiers returned to their ships, the engines humming softly as they lifted into the dark sky. Luna watched them leave. You think they'll tell their people what happened here? Reed smiled faintly. Maybe not all of it, he said. Some truths are meant to be felt, not told. He looked again at the moon, the faint silver ring still glowing. Come on, team, he said. Let's go home. As the human ship Artemis rose from the surface, the desert below began to shift, where the battle once raged. Flowers of pale blue light started to bloom. Each one pulsed softly, like tiny heartbeats across the sand. Taurine watched through the window. The moon's garden, he whispered. Reed smiled. No, her promise. The stars stretched across the dark, the moonlight reflecting off the ship's hull. Inside, the crew sat silently. Lost in thought, Luna broke the quiet. You think the universe saw what happened tonight? Reed looked out at the stars. If it didn't, it will soon. He turned to the crew. Because stories like this don't fade, they travel. Taurine smiled through his tears. Like light, Reed nodded. Exactly, like light, far above them in the endless dark. The ring around the moon shimmered brighter. It pulsed once, like a heartbeat, and then settled into eternal calm. And though Captain Reed would never see her again, he would always feel her warmth when the stars shone over his ship. Humanity had shown its heart, and in doing so, it had changed the stars forever.